thank you for sharing your emotions. That really touched me.
Yeah.
So thank you. I feel a bit guilty because yesterday I said I didn't really believe that you were Jesus. Although
I didn't say these things earlier to make you feel guilty.
No, I know you didn't. Although, the content is so beautiful and I,
Yeah.
really get such a beautiful energy from you.
Yeah.
And so, I sort of sat here just then thinking, well, what's going on with me that I instantly said, well, I think that's crap that you're Jesus. And I think I'm not sure because, I can't process stuff
Yeah.
at the moment because I feel a bit, I don't know, that I think it's to do with my own unworthiness, that how could Jesus be in my backyard? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've been exploring this New Age sort of stuff for 30 years and
Yeah.
I heard about the, second coming of Jesus and stuff, but how could he be in my backyard? Like I just can't compute with that.
Yeah.
To do with, perhaps this deep unworthiness.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that what I find is when I talk about myself being Jesus, the biggest projections I get generally are related to the fact that people then think I'm saying that I'm better than them. And so that automatically then triggers any feelings of unworthiness that they have within themselves, which of course because they don't want to feel, project back at me as anger or some other kind of emotion that's a coping emotion. And I'm just saying who I am because if I stay in my truth, I have to say it. The other thing I learnt quite early in my own progression, which when I found the divine love path again, it was 5 years ago when I found my path again. So I've been dealing with my emotions for 12 years, but it was only 5 years ago that I actually found, like, all these things just came to me of memories, just memories that came to me. And I felt like I rediscovered everything again at that stage. And when I went through that, one of the things that came to me was that people would reject me if I said who I was. And that was a deep fear that I had. And so what I had to do then is work through those fears emotionally, of course, because I was also afraid of dying again as a result of saying who I am. And I'll tell you why, as we talk maybe, because there's some first century emotions related to many of these things. But what actually happened was that I had to work through these emotions in such a way that eventually I had to come to see whether I was Jesus or not, whether there was just a spirit influencing me somehow, or all these different possibilities that I knew of. It could be, And so what I had to do then was go through and resolve the issue between myself and God, really. I had to test out my relationship with God and see when the divine love flows. And when the divine love flows, you can feel it flowing through you, and you can also feel it when it stops. And so what I had to do then, the only thing I could do, and there was never any mediumship, I was never told by any person who I was. And since I have been, after I'd worked it out myself, but only after I've worked it out myself. There's been many people who've come and told me that they know of Jesus. But before, none of that happened at the start. What I had to do was I had to work through emotionally the issue between myself and God, which was quite a long-winded process for me. It took me 8 months to do that, and of dealing with my emotions pretty much every day. And a lot of that process was very, very difficult for me as well, because it's like having a split identity almost for some time before I could actually cope with it intellectually. Then, of course, all of the memories and all of the feelings and all of the other things that were flowing as well were confusing enough, because I knew I didn't have any of those experiences in my life. And so I had to go through and actually resolve all those issues with God. So what I found was that every time that I refused to accept the truth about my identity, my connection with God would cease, and I would be in a state where I was alone again. And when I could intellectually accept, at least, not emotionally accept yet that I was, then I would start feeling the flow of divine love again. And so the only way that in the end that I could determine the truth about that issue myself was all of these feelings and emotions and memories were coming to me that I feel unworthy to be Jesus, right? And so because of that, I could not accept all of these memories that were coming to me. So I'm having all these memories of my first century life and my spirit life, and I'm writing them all down frantically. So I've got books of them, but I can't accept them because I can't accept that I am Jesus, right? Because of the feelings of unworthiness. But every time I refused to accept it, my connection with God would stop. So then I was in this conundrum, if you like. What do? If I wanted to teach, because there's always been a desire to teach the truth if I found it, and I felt I knew it and found it. But on the other side, every time I stopped saying that I was Jesus, or didn't want to say I was Jesus, my connection with God stopped, and then I couldn't teach either. So it set up all of this conundrum, which took a number of years for me to resolve, emotionally resolve them. And in a lot of ways I'm still, because of the unworthiness issue still being present, it still comes up in groups in particular. And that's one of the reasons, in fact, at the moment it's probably the only reason why I'm doing groups. Because I do get a lot of projections of emotions in a group. And the beauty of that is that it exposes the areas within myself that are still unhealed. And that's why I keep doing it.
We promise to keep doing that.
Thank you.